This doesn't light your fireman, the pilot lights out.
This football team is coming into our place. We're standing in our way.
This is a game of the heart. Focus and finish.
Welcome to Waiver Wire Wednesday. It's week 9 in the NFL and week 9 in fantasy football, the second of two back-to-back weeks where 6 teams have byes. This week, Arizona, Denver, Detroit, Jacksonville, San Francisco, and the New York Giants are all on hiatus. So between players being lost to injury and players on vacation this week, you need some fantasy roster help. And this is the place to come. Now, I'm going to start off with a guy I've been telling you about for the past 3 weeks, and he needs to be on your roster. Seems like I talk about him every day here, but as long as he's widely available, I'm going to keep beating you over the head with him. And that's the Washington Indian football team's tight end, Jordan Reed. I currently have him ranked as the 5th best fantasy tight end in the game, and there's a sizable chance that he's still available in your league. Even if you have Graham, Gronk, Davis, Thomas, Cameron, or someone else that you like better, you're nuts if you don't roster this kid for a sign and trade or just to hold on to him for a rainy day. Sticking with the tight ends, Bucs rookie Tim Wright has become a valid option in PPR leagues. Last week, Wright was targeted 8 times with 5 catches for 48 yards, finding the end zone for his first career touchdown. And he's clearly built a rapport and become somewhat of a security blanket for fellow rookie quarterback Mike Glennon. Now, the Bucs travel to Seattle in week 9, and the coaching staff has said it wants Glennon to throw fewer times. Well, they shouldn't fall behind so much. Then again, throwing inside the hash marks to a tight end is one of the easier throws for a quarterback, even if it doesn't result in as many yards. He's averaged about 5 catches and 50 yards per game his past 4 outings. If you're scrambling for a tight end and playing a PPR league, Wright is definitely someone you want to consider. Virtually no one has him. Viewers have been tripping over themselves to add Marvin Jones this week after his 8-catch, 122-yard 4TD performance last week, causing him to go from almost universally unowned to being owned in about 40% of leagues across the board. Now, you need to be careful here. As I've said many times before, you don't necessarily want to buy a stock after it rises swiftly. Oftentimes, it's a good time to sell. Mohamed Sanu is still ahead of him on the depth chart, at least in terms of getting more snaps, but there's no doubt Jones has potential. He only played 19 snaps though in last week's game, and his fantastic production was somewhat of an anomaly. I definitely think he's worth a roster spot, particularly the way Andy Dalton has been throwing the rock. Just be careful where you rank him when you look at your options to activate players this week. I can tell by the questions we're getting here, some of you think that you found the next Jerry Rice. Doesn't work that way. Kenny Stills is another receiver that viewers have been asking me about quite a bit this week, and after catching 3 balls for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns, it's just about what I expected. I like to call it the fantasy sheep herd mentality. Now, if you're in need for a receiver, he's definitely someone you should look at. You just need to know what you're getting. He's only a rookie, and you would expect his role in the offense to increase over time, but at the moment, he doesn't see all that many targets from Drew Brees. He's got 13 receptions on 23 targets this year, but he does have big playability, and he has reached the promised land 2 weeks in a row. Panthers running back Jonathan Stewart is expected to make his season debut in week 9 when the Panthers host Atlanta. An ankle injury cost Stewart the first half of the season, but he could be returning at the perfect time, as DeAngelo Williams hasn't surpassed 65 rushing yards since week 3. Stewart has always been productive, and he averaged 5.4 yards per carry as recently as 2011. And while everyone in the NFL battles fatigue at this time of the year, his fresh legs could give him a leg up. See the way I did that there? If you have a question you want answered, hit me up with a tweet. And if I don't use your question here on the show, I'll tweet you back with my best advice. And be sure to tune in to the Roto Experts Fantasy Football News, Notes, and Analysis segment every weekday. I'll be here to keep you current and ahead of the competition. And on weekends, come back for This Week in Fantasy Football as I team up with the King, Scott Engel, covering the week that was and the week that will be, answering your viewer questions. For Roto Experts, I'm Mike Cardano.